Hello, I'm Andrew, this is Yoshi, and this is the Railway Dogcast. I'm joined with Tony from Hentis Rail.
Good evening, good morning.
And we're delighted to have with us this episode Simon Kohler.
Yeah, hi.
Who I don't know, do you like being called Mr Hornby?
Well, do I like it? I think it's an honour.
Yes,
it's a privilege. So I would be rather churlish of me if I said yes. But no, I think it's nice. It is nice.
Yeah, it's a nice compliment.
It's a compliment, but doesn't work too well with the taxman. I still want to keep calling him Kohler.
It's like I was thinking, do you address him as Simon? Do you say
no? Simon's fine. Simon's fine.
Sir.
No, please get off your knees.
Oh, you're a legend in your own lifetime, aren't you?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah,
legend.
And you've just written a book. We're going between the lines. I don't know if you see that there.
Yes, thank you for that.
Which I have just read.
How have you?
Yes, I found it a really good read.
Oh, good, thank you.
Fascinating read. And what I liked about it was that you're quite humble.
Oh, okay.
And I think you're quite honest as well. So you haven't taken credit for things which were other people's ideas and stuff. And I think that was really quite nice.
I don't. Anybody who knows me will tell you I don't have airs and graces.
Yeah.
And certainly credit where credit's due. And I've always said when I've been involved with people, certainly in the last 5 years of my time at Hornby, it was always a team. We were a team. People always came up to me this last weekend. I was at the NEC this last weekend, and they say, "Oh, thanks ever so much for doing the TT and bringing the TT to." I said, "Well, it is a team effort. Please don't, it is. So many people are involved. You've got the designers and so on, and I had a lot of support."
I love the TT 120 scale because that's been one of your ambitions for a while.
It's been a baby of mine in a gestation period of the best part of 50 years. Yes,
wow.
But it evolved. I mean, I got sight of TT when I first couple of weeks when I was at the model shop back in '71, and I saw this box it was in a storeroom covered in dust and all the rest of it. The shop had just been extended and so on, and I wondered what it was. And Nick, the proprietor, then told me it was TT. And I thought, that's really nice. And I got to know more about it. But then, as time progressed, it gets put to one side. But I always felt it was a good intermediary size between N gauge and 00.
Absolutely.
And it became even more so as time progressed. And as I said, it sort of, my thinking evolved. And I think the best thing about it is that it's true scale.
Yes.
It's not another oddball British scale.
Yeah. That's what I was going to mention while you were talking about it, is one of the things that really bugs me about 00 is it's not quite real scale, is it?
No.
HO is more accurate.
HO is an accurate scale.
Yeah.
00 is a I won't say the word, but it's a compromise.
Yeah.
I think. Well, and it's historical, and I think most people know, and this is the reason I think why British N gauge is different. It's all to do with the size of motors that were available at the time.
Yeah.
But being lucky and being, TT 120 motors, you can get them in all shapes and sizes, and that was the beauty of it. Motors small enough to go into a British outline, because the locos, the full-size locos, are smaller than they were or are on the continent.
Yeah.
So the motor was always going to be the key. Not a problem. Able to get a decent motor to give us proper 120 scale.
I've just started building a model railway. I suppose for the last 5 years I've been doing it. Had TT been a little bit earlier, I think I would have opted for that scale.
And I think, and you're right. I mean, so many people have said that. to me again over this last weekend. But I've never advocated that. Oh, throw your 00 away, throw your Engage away. It's not.
Yeah.
It's for those people coming into it. There used to be so many people I'd meet at exhibitions who would say, no, he didn't actually bark like that. But what they did say was, I'd love to have a model railway, but just don't have the space.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And it was really those people with the target market. Bringing new people in. People, because so many people these days, they've downsized, or they've had to get rid of their 00 because they've got no room for it or whatever. And TT, as I say, was to me the answer, and it has been the answer for so many people, and brings a lot of enjoyment. Yeah.
Because I think
people.
Engage, from my eyes, is just a little bit too small.
Yeah.
The thing with Engage, and I learnt this because we introduced the Brighton Bell in the Arnold range, Hornby Arnold range, and I was demonstrating this particular loco, and I put it all on, and it was a bit fiddly because I hadn't had my eyes. I've only just had my eyes lasered, so but I had glasses down here trying to do it, and I eventually got it on. It's great, and then nudged the table, it all came off again. And that to me was so frustrating.
Yeah.
So no, TT.
The thing is, just like I said to Andy on the way up here, I said I'm almost tempted to get rid of. I do have a fair bit of stuff, but I've got about a bit of wood from about this size of the table here to about there.
Yeah.
It's just got like a little depot scene on it.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm still trying to work the track work out, and I'm almost tempted just to get rid of all that and all my locos and everything, and then go for TT, because at first I wasn't convinced. I was like, like that sort of thing, and I was just like,
you weren't alone. No, I was for a time the devil's spawn, actually, just for a while.
But just like I went to a couple of model railway shows over the last year or so, and there was one that it was at Eastleigh, I think it was, and they were showing Hornby TT stuff there, and it was the first time that I'd seen that one, and I was just like, you know what? It's bigger than Engage. It's more accessible, I think, for smaller spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because I've only got, I was in a 4-bedroom house. Unfortunately, stuff happened.
Yeah.
And I had to move out into
exactly
into
what I
a
said
flat.
about people downsizing,
That's it,
etc., and space being an issue. Yeah.
And it's digital as well, isn't it?
It's digital. I mean, the original plan, which we did change, was to just have it available as pure digital.
Okay.
So, but circumstances, I think, quite luckily, really, it changed. So you can buy a set which is analog, or you can actually have one with sound and all bells and whistles, etc., as digital. Yeah. So try and cover all bases.
Yeah, because did you introduce the first digital chips to Hornby?
And back in the day, 01. 01. I was when 01 actually hit the market. I was with Hammett Morgan. So that was the trade. Everybody was thinking, oh, digital, this is it. It's the end of analog. And I'm thinking, gosh, what have I done? But gradually, your sales techniques and people began to realise that, well, I'm running with analog. Nobody's going to rip up all their track or whatever and start putting, in those days, £5, what we used to call chips, into the locos. Not everybody, but again, people coming into the hobby probably would do that, and that was fine. But of course, a year or so later, Hammett Morgan, we announced the HM5000, which was basically, I think I've put in the book, 01 with steroids.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like, wow, it took all the limitations that 01 had, and you've got to remember that when 01 was launched, that was the first digital control. So basically, they were learning on the hoof, and so it was great that Hammond Morgan had a year, because we could see, and you know, Hammond Morgan and Hornby were connected, so we were able to see what changes could be made, what improvements could be done, what people were asking for, and that was included in the 5,000. And you know, plus more bells and whistles. You know, it had touch switches. You know, not mechanical switches, and things like that. And, you know,
and at the time that would have been like, wow. You know, for today it's just like, oh, okay. But
but now
time,
it'd be a bit Stone Age.
That's it, yeah.
But at the time, metal case, keyboards, you know, two controllers, etc. Oh, it was brilliant.
Late 70s?
It was. It came out about 81.
81. I was still at school then.
Because I could.
I can remember. I can remember coveting that.
It was,
but knowing I'd have no chance of getting it.
It caused a few, you know, people on the price front. It was almost twice as expensive as the 01. But it had so many nice little features, and it was aimed. The thing that Hammond Morgan, the reason Hornby purchased Hammond Morgan was that they wanted a company that was respected, and a company that could offer product to the modeler, which would not necessarily suit the Hornby range. So it was, you know, things like a super duper 01 with lots more benefits to it, really nice analog controllers like the 3000s. A rolling road, you know, we did what we call the loco tester. We had a Relco that was so easy to work. A Relco, for some of your listeners, watchers, probably may not realise, was a rail cleaner. It was an electronic rail cleaner.
Right.
And the original ones that Relco produced, it was always a little bit complicated to wire up. Working with Relco, Hammond Morgan produced a Relco unit that was so much easier. Yeah. You know, just a couple of wires and bish bash bosh, job is done. And that's, you know, and we introduced Woodland Scenics into the country, which were, you know, horrendously expensive compared to coloured sawdust.
Yes.
But the quality
was a lot better.
Oh, it was pure modeler.
Did you have to work hard, or did your reps have to work hard to convince?
Well, I was a rep. I was a rep, and I was learning, you know, basically on the hoof. And did you have to work hard? The nice thing with Hammond Morgan, and it still has a lot of respect, was that it had respect with the retailers. And it provided, you know, there was a little bit of sucking through the teeth when they heard Hornby had purchased Hammond Morgan, but the product was still in its metal case. It was still manufactured in Watford, and it was still very reliable. I mean, you know, there was no shortcuts or anything like that. It just kept its reputation, and that was the Hammond Morgan strength, or H&M strength. And did we have to work hard? It was. I don't think I ever had an occasion where I was told to get out of the shop because of one thing or another. No, and I think the 3000, which was an analog controller, which we announced the same year that the 01 was coming through, was a little bit of a difficult sell to begin with. But when people saw, because I then started to go around shows and showing what it did, people began to, actually, do you know it? And you know, one, I'm not going to have 01. I'm not going to, but this is a really good controller. The only thing was lots of knobs on it, but it did only still control one loco. But it was, you could tune you know, the motor, different motors, and it could tune it to it, and you really got the best out of it. And then it really came on song following year when we introduced the Walkabout, which was just a nice little handheld unit, which you could either push up against the 3000, or you could, as it said, have it in your hand, walk about with it. And that was brilliant. Sold thousands of those. That was brilliant. Yeah, no. Oh, it was once that first year had gone, you learn your customers, but we started to get some really nice. Probably had the SM1 point motor. Now the SM3 Hammond Morgan point motor, that was a classic. I mean, there was when you fired those, the lights dimmed. And your layout moved. It was so powerful. that was good stuff. And it was, again, people swore by those because it was so good. But this SM1 was a little bit like the Pico one, which fitted under the layout.
Yeah.
So we were having lovely little products. We had a stand with wire on it, with plugs on it, etc., for the modeller, who didn't have to scratch around anymore or go to some electronics place. They were all in the model shop on a stand. And for us, nicely blister packed, and for us it was, so you're a bit low on the Jubilee clips, so bish bash bosh,
Yeah.
It's great. I in that, and I still do. I really do enjoy talking. I think it's talking to me. I wouldn't class it as selling.
Yeah.
Don't sell, but you see opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's what was good. It was an exciting time. I really did enjoy those days.
Because you started working in a model shop.
I worked, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have an interest in railways before that?
No.
No.
I mean, I had
You
my
didn't stand on the end of the platform with a notebook.
No, I let you into the secret. My brother, my middle brother, he was the train person. My hometown is a place called Louth in Lincolnshire, and that had its station. It was on a route from Grimsby through to eventually King's Cross. But anyway, so he was the train buff, and he had mates who were train people, and we'd go train spotting. He would go to Doncaster, York, King's Cross,
Definitely.
Anything on the East Coast. He was there, and he'd have these runabout tickets and all the rest of it. Now, my mother was a widow, and although there were times that she would have to be working, she worked actually. She got a job in a school canteen, which in those days, and it still is, I would imagine, really hard graft, really was. But there were times when we were on holiday, but her school was still open. So in those days, I was sort of attached to my middle brother. And so I was the pain, I was the nuisance, Oh, really, have you brought him? So, I'd be the one who, would want to put pennies on the line and get it squashed. And,
that's it, yeah.
And running it, I did go with him to Shed 40B, Immingham. And I was, couldn't have a look in the shed. And start running around and I've cabbed this one, I've cabbed that one, and then getting chased out by the superintendent, and so I was a bit of a nuisance, and looking at the shed plates and thinking, if I had a spanner I could get that off.
We've all done that.
But we never did we?
No.
So
Didn't hear that,
they were. I mean, didn't have 2 acres to rub together because I kept squashing them. But it was fun. So it was fun. I would treat it as fun. My brother took it very seriously. I remember his 10. I think it was 10 and 6. Ian Allen combine volume. And things like that. And I tried to do it, just but it didn't really appeal. He was the one who had the train set. As I say, my mother was hard pressed, but she scrimped and saved, and got my brother a Hornby 00 train set, one of the basic one, which had the little E1 in it. Was it E1? And it was the first or the second year of Hornby 00 2-rail. I think it was the first year, and like all the, put it on a board and all the rest of it. 10 shillings. Put it on plywood. No, hardboard. Totally the wrong thing, but anyway. And so he and I wanted a bit of this action, really. And so, although my mother didn't buy me train set the following Christmas, I did get the Blackie one and some wagons and the post office TPO, the Hornby double
Yes.
ore,
Oh, cool.
which was great. But I had to wait several years till we had a transformer that had a separate power output so for the damn thing to actually work as it was meant to do. And by then we'd moved to Northampton. By then, I was into music and other mischief. He would have his layout. If he wasn't there, we'd have it running round. And I had an air pistol with the old gap thing, and I would take pot shots. And occasionally he would score, occasionally not.
Yeah.
So I was naughty, but the friend I made, and he's a good friend, and he still is a good friend. His father owned the model shop in Northampton, and that's really how I got into it. And when sadly his father passed away, Nick just said, I think I put it in the book actually,
Yes, yeah.
asked, and that's, yeah. I don't think my mother was overly keen, but you learnt the trade.
Yeah.
I learnt, the customer is always right. The customer doesn't always know what you're thinking, but he's always right.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, it was dealing with the public. My first job was the tax office, dealing with the public. The second one was working for a mixed concrete company, dealing with people, etc. This was great, talking to people, and it was an exciting time because this was when I went there. Wren was was on its own. You had Triang Railways, which very soon became Triang Hornby. Here a few years later, a year or months later, there was Trix, whose scale locos were a little bit odd, but the one that really stuck in my mind was a Silver Fox. They did. It was an A4.
Yeah.
And that, because I love the colour, and I would have bought it. It didn't have a layout, didn't have anything. I would have bought it, but by then I was getting ready to save to get married. So never bought it. But that colour scheme always stuck in my head. So there was a time then when Airfix Railways came out, Mainline came out, and it was the beginning of a change. But I think it came just that little bit too early, because they all over anticipated the market. They all produced some nice product, but it couldn't survive because there was too much product, and Hornby had quite a strong hold. But it was the start of when toy trains started to become more model.
Yeah.
There was always modelers who would buy a Hornby model and then embellish it, because there were lots of little garage operations that did bits and pieces that you could enhance models with. But this was the Airfix product coming through, had it all, really, and the detail and the print and the finish was excellent. It took Hornby 2 or 3 years to catch up. They did take notice, but by then, Mainline and Airfix really were part of the history. But Mainline, as you know, and Airfix did emerge, but under a different brand.
Yeah.
Was
Later.
Mainline Palatine?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And it was all generated by model shops saying, do you know, there's a market here. And it was just coincidental that both brands were launched at the same time at the Brighton Toy Fair back in 76?
Yeah.
75, 76, something like that.
Because I know I got interested in trains about 77, and I think that's when I got the first Airfix catalogue
But they,
with the 31 on the front.
Yeah, but I mean, the finish was, you compared that 31 with the Hornby 31. Oh, yeah, it would be trying Hornby then. And it was...
You could tell the difference.
There was a
Definitely
big
tell the
difference
yeah.
because, nobody was overspraying. But, since then, you add more detail, and of course cost does
Yeah,
increase.
of course, yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Sorry, I waffled.
No.
It was a really interesting and learning time, and of course, then when Hornby, you know, in 78, 79 announced, you know, they were doing 01. I mean, it took them a year or so to get it out there, but they announced it. This was something. This was quite a golden age.
Yeah.
And it was during those times, the 77 time, when anything, you know, you could paint anything red and yellow and it would sell.
Yeah,
quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the Lima early versions of their stuff, and I'm just like, that used to sell. It's just like, really, it's just like some sort of shunter in BR blue, the BR sort of insignia, and it's just like, but that doesn't look British at all.
No, but Lehman didn't really make an impact until Richard Constantine's got hold of the franchise, if you like, and that's when it changed. That's, you know, Lima really started to rip apart Hornby's diesel range.
Yeah,
You know, because, you know, Hornby's HST 77, I think it was launched, was okay for the time, the actual tractor unit, the actual main unit, but the coaches,
we were talking about these on the way.
yeah, they're a window short of a coach.
Was that?
It was deliberate because it was on the cusp when Hornby was still thinking toys, toy train sets, and the reason that it was shortened was because if they'd done them correct length, they would have clashed. If you had the first radius and the second radius, they would have clashed because of the hangover.
Yeah.
And that was the reason that they reduced
So
it.
it was a compromise that they needed.
It was
to
a
make at the time.
compromise, which at the time they thought was fine, and you can't knock it. You know, hindsight, I've always said, is the wisdom of fools. You know, it was to me. You know, they thought, yeah, it's okay. They didn't have a crystal ball to see really how it goes. Although they should have had an indication, really, with the, you know, with the Palatoy and the Airfix range.
because I've still got 2 of those Hornby Mark III coaches, but I've got loads of Lima. I wouldn't say loads. I've got about 4 or 5 Lima ones as well.
And they were the correct length.
But the power cars were the same. They were the same.
Yeah.
They were
The thing was that because the power cars that Lima produced are that little bit older, or later come into the market, they had a cowl over the exhaust, which the Hornby one didn't.
Ah, right.
And I remember that big dramas because you know, in those days, early 80s, Hornby were going for the unlisted market. You know, there'd been a management buyout and all the rest of it. They were going for this unlisted market, which was great. However, I think it was the Times or the Financial Times, or whatever, picked up on the fact that, you know, Lehman's model was more accurate than Hornby's. And I was called up to the MD's office along with the engineer, and he basically ripped into me, you know, how, you know, because it was threatening the share value or the eventual share value.
Yes.
So that's how sensitive it was.
Because the Financial Times.
Because the financial I was saying, well, hang on a minute, you know, I wasn't here, you know, and I have been saying about, you know, wanting to, you know, improve the range and all the rest of it, but it was an easy thing to do. You know, we were able to manufacture a cowl and put it over, but it took several years after that before we were able to have the correct length HST coaches.
So
Mark III coaches.
I am definitely going to check those with the what versions I have with the Lima models.
Yeah.
We're talking there about being hauled up to the management. Reading the book, there were times when Hornby got very close to being no more. Do you think?
Well, I've always said Hornby will always exist.
Yeah.
You know, it is an entity, and you'll have different people, you know, in the driving seat, and it'll go up, it'll go down. You just look at the history. It goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. And there were times, certainly in the very, very early 80s, when Hornby could have gone. And this was when the interest in traditional toys, product, just disappeared overnight in favour of electronic games. And it didn't just affect us, it affected people with roller skates, it affected bicycles, it affected all sorts. Electronic games were the thing.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted train sets, nobody wanted scales. So Hornby's fortune, and it just coincided with the management buyout and all the rest of it. It just, and me actually moving from basically Hammond Morgan to Hornby, and where everything just seemed to crash. And Wiltminster, they brought in, they diversification was the name of the game then.
It's just the pink puppies.
This was, it was well, the first thing was flower fingers. Hornby were ignoring 50% of the market. We brought a guy in called Keith Ness, who was actually a trying rep. He was quite an accomplished salesman, and he had been working at Pedigree Prams and Toys in Canterbury, which had been a part of the DCM Combine, part of the brand company. Anyway, he was brought in to diversify, and part of that was looking at the other 50%. Now, his skill factor was in the doll girls toys side of life. So rather, I know he had in his back of his mind dolls, but to bring dolls in straight away would have been a bit tricky. So he brought in a hobby which was called Flower Fingers, which was aimed at girls, and I'm probably sounding sexist, but please remember, now we are talking the very early 80s, and things have changed in 40 years. Yeah. So he brought these flower things, which were, if you like, a kit of flowers, and they would have little plastic, maybe a wishing well or something like that, and the girls would make up the flowers and have a little posy type thing, and that started it. The following year came in with Flower Fairies, which was based on the Cecily Mary Barker books, poems, etc. And that, although I'm sure there were established enthusiasts and people passionate about Hornby, were probably having heart failure because, hang on a minute, because some of these people hadn't even spoken to a woman, let alone to talk. But anyway, they'd actually, these dolls were a success. We did get best new girls product for that year, got an award. I believe that helped to keep the doors of Hornby open, and other toys came along like pound puppies, etc. Then the pendulum started to turn a bit. Well, it turned quite a bit, and we got the right people in from the sales point of view. There was Argus there. They would buy scale extra sets. They would have train sets, etc. But it was still, the mindset was really everything was to do with toys, and Hornby and Scale Extra, which were basically generating the money now, that money was being spent on more toys. So investment in both key brands was to a minimum, absolute minimum.
I left school in '83, and my first job was working for John Menzies.
Oh yeah,
or John
Menzies,
yeah. And when we took deliveries of these Pang puppies and things, it's got Hornby on it.
Yeah, I know.
I just didn't understand. I didn't compute.
It didn't. No, it didn't. We had to change because there was getting confusion. People were seeing Hornby on the Flower Fairy dolls, and it was causing issues. And we changed the name, to something. It wasn't Pedigree, but it was something along those lines where you changed it, and then people said, "Oh, who's that?" Then, well, that's Hornby. So,
You still say, "Oh, it's back to Hornby again."
Prestige. I think it was changed to Prestige. That was it. He was, "Oh, who's Prestige?" "Oh, it's Hornby." Because look, it says Hornby on the box.
Yeah, but so, I was always amazed that there was a Hornby logo on a toy dog.
But but we used to put a Hornby logo on a Scale Extra box as well.
So, because I'm only on chapter 15 or 16 at the moment.
Oh,
so
you got a
so
long way to go.
Yeah, but it's, I've really enjoyed it actually.
have.
So it's out of the 3 books that I've had over the last year, this is the one that I've read so far that I've really enjoyed reading.
It's a great read.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. With all
That's very kind of you to say so.
the little like anecdotes, and I always look forward to the bits where you're going on about Stan, and he comes up and he goes,
Oh, Stan, yeah.
Is it Al goes it?
How goes it?
Yeah,
How goes
that's
it?
brilliant.
You go, how goes it?
And I'm like chuckling. Sometimes I'm there at night, just sort of way after where I should have been asleep, and I'm reading it, and then I'm chuckling to myself. And
My favourite anecdote is about the APT.
Oh,
When you were phoned up by a journalist.
oh, yeah, the Sun journalist. Yeah.
Wanting to know why your version.
Right, and theirs didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you can get yours well and they can't? Yeah, that's a puzzler, isn't it?
but yeah, so like going back to the Scale Electric thing, it's just like, was Scale Electric part of Hornby from the beginning, or was it?
Scale Electric was bought by Triang, or the Lines family, in, I think, 57, 58.
Right.
It was actually, I think it was launched in 57, and I think the company bought it in 58 or whatever. But, I mean, the story there was a chap called Francis, who he made pull back and go tin plate cars, and did quite well. And then just one Christmas, they just didn't sell. You know, the market just fell away, and he was left with a warehouse full of cars that nobody wanted. So he went over to Nuremberg Toy Fair and went onto the Märklin stand. And Märklin had actually launched a slot racing system. So he came back, devised the track, devised a push-button type controller using battery power, etc. Took the bodies off his cars he had, devised a gimbal electric motor, which fitted into the slot, so it was isolated, and it took the industry by storm. So that was around about 1957.
Yeah.
So he then had to, the demand, and this was very similar to what happened with Rovex and the first Rovex train set with the Princess. He had to either invest or sell. Triang, very shrewd company. They were at one time the largest toy company in the world, apparently, which is always a kiss of death. But they're very shrewd. What was knocking their market, and they'd invested a lot of money in trying trains and so on, but this was affecting their sales. So they bought Scale Electric, totally redesigned it, got rid of the rubber track, designed their own track system, designed the controllers. This was a lot developed by Richard Lines, who was the nephew of the Lines family, or so on. Very, very, very nice chap. I'm sure he's mentioned in the book. Lovely dry sense of humour. Did not suffer fools gladly. But he put a lot of effort and development into Scale Electric, which then really kicked it off in the 60s, early 60s, and it became a major part of the Triang empire, but ran very nicely between, Triang trains and the Scale Electric. And they were really, even after Triang sadly went under, and the brands moved to Dunby, Convex Marks, that they were always the jewels in the Margate crown, always. And Hornby were always looking for that third crown, that third string to the bow. Tried Jump Jockey, didn't work. Successful for a bit, got bored with it. Things like they try that. I mean, Minute Motorways was good, but of course I think it really got, overshadowed by Scale Electric, really. And it wasn't quite true to scale. That was the other thing.
Sorry.
No. I was just going to say you could run the two together, and it was good fun to see. And there was TV adverts for it and all the rest of it.
Was the third jewel in the crown Airfix?
No. I think. Actually, it's very good. That's a very good point. Actually, maybe it was. It took a good number of years. And Hornby did try things like shipwright and stamps and I think probably Airfix is, it's a solid brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but yes, you're right. No. I'll have to write another book. Yeah. Ideas I didn't have.
But I mean, it's just like I was one of the ones that did have a scale electric set.
Yeah, so did I. Well, so did I. So a lot more.
And my older brother had one. But I was saying to Andy on the way up here, for my birthday, I got a second-hand Triang train set.
Yeah.
Well, not even in the official Triang box. It was a little 060 Ginty and.
Was it grey or
it was BR black?
Yeah. No, the track was.
Oh,
it
the
grey
track.
or was it
Chunky,
Super 4? Chunky.
Chunky and brown.
Yeah, super. It sounds like Super 4.
Because the weird thing is, as I said to him as well, was that we went to the GCR diesel gala a few months ago, and I went in there and bought some second-hand spare track, and in that was a bit of straight track like that, and I recognised it straight away as Triang because it was just chunky.
Yeah.
And it's so different from the normal stuff that I'm used to in that, and it just brings back memories as well. Just like because I can remember just like sometimes when you put the track together. And you had the train running because it's just like because I did it all on carpet. Shouldn't have done it, I know, but you do. And you put the because sometimes the tracks where they kind of pull apart sometimes if they're a bit loose. So you put them together and you feel this like little jolt go through you. And you think, don't want to do that. But it was a typical like metal Triang controller.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
With the when we used to race scale electric, we tried for a time that if you came off, you had to pay a penalty, and that was sticking your tongue on the track, squeezing this. I'm surprised I've lived as long as I have. To be honest, 'cause, I mean, we used to do some terrible things with mammoth steam engines as well. But, yeah.
How did because you had a couple of TV series, didn't you?
Yes.
Was it Discovery?
Yeah, it was on Yesterday Channel.
Yesterday.
Yes, it was brilliant. That was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the guy from Top Gear.
Oh, James May.
James May.
Well, what happened? That I'll tell you what happened there was that the first time Hornby and I parted company, I got a phone call from Plum Pictures, and we'd worked with Plum Pictures because we did the Great Race and we did the Barnstable to Bideford thing. We had two bites of the cherry. The second one worked because the weather was so much nicer. But I got the phone call, and he said, "Do you think Hornby, because they're under like new management, etc. Do you think Hornby would let us do a sort of fly on the wall thing? Nothing offensive or whatever." And I said, "Well, I don't know, but what I'm actually having dinner with the chief exec in a couple of days' time. I'll mention it to him." Anyway, I mentioned it to him, and I had cause to ring Plum for some reason, and I said, "Oh, by the way, did you get a response?" "No, I didn't." "Oh," I thought that's a bit of a shame. So that was stuck in the mind. Anyway, a few months later, I'm back at Hornby, and sitting with Lyndon Davis, who was the chief exec, and chief operating officer was Tim Mulhall, and the three of us, like the three musketeers, as it were, having lunch. And I said, "Do you know what?" And it was only a week or so into me returning. I said, "Do you know, it would be great if we could get Plum Pictures." I said, "because I'm pretty certain that they would be really interested. What do you think?" So I said, "Give them a call." So, having finished my sandwich, I gave him a call, spoke to them, and he said, "Yes, it'd be great. Leave it with me." And a little while later, came back and said, "Well, Channel 4 are interested," he said, "but they want money. But BBC are very interested, and they don't. So I said, right. He said, so when can we start? So I said, right. I think now we ought to mention this to the main board. So I spoke to Lyndon. He said, leave it with me. Rang the chairman, the then chairman, and they hummed and hawed, but yeah, okay, do it. Rang back. So then we had, the guys from Plum Pictures. They did two episodes, or part of this. Followed us around, and that was quite successful. And it did what it was meant to do, to show that Hornby was, on the straight and level, moving forward, lots of innovations, and so these are the people who are making it happen. As in the staff, it wasn't just two or three of us; it was everybody. You can actually get it on YouTube. So then we had a couple of phone calls from these independent people, but there was one who rang up and said they would like to do it, but I think he said he was looking at doing 8 episodes. Oh, really? Really? So yeah, sounds interesting. Love to do it, etc. And guess what? COVID struck, so it didn't happen any further, but towards once we'd all started to get back into the office and all the rest of it. Are you still interested? Yes, very interested. We'll send a guy down. And so the first series was done under strict COVID control. I really did feel sorry, because the cameraman was not only the cameraman, he was the sound man, he was the director, he was like the producer as well. But he did a brilliant job, and there was still not everybody was back in the office because it was still meant to be optional. But the first, the series went out. We had great launch. People were fascinated with it, and we got really, really positive response, which was fabulous. You could not have asked that, and it was just before Christmas.
Yeah.
The timing was wonderful. You could not have wished any better. And as I say, the response was marvellous. And we had people, yes, we did. We had people coming in, and, there were obviously, people who have been filmed, like, designers and so on, sort of became famous. So we would, line up in the visitor centre cafe, getting our sandwiches for lunch and all the rest of it. And of course, you got the general public in there as well, and they were coming. Oh, can I have an order? Can I have a selfie? Can I do it? And of course, the guys loved it. It was great. And then we did, the second series, which was a little bit more. We actually did have we had a professional producer as well, who was organising things, and we were back to normality then. And so, we still had the one cameraman who was still the lighting man and the director. But yeah, the second series went out, and again, I'm sorry I keep harping about this last weekend, but the number of people, I love the programme, love this, love that. Oh, I've just seen Sam on the Hornby stand, and it did so much, not just for Hornby, but for the hobbies in general. The airfix and the people. Because I said at the very start, I don't want it just to be Hornby, because it's boring.
Yeah, I've got to say, when like the next episode it's going to be a model plane or something. I thought, what am I doing? But I found it really interesting, even though that wasn't my bag.
No.
The programme was so good.
No.
That it kept you interested in what.
Yeah, I think the to be fair, the railway ones did have the most audience, but we were certainly on the first series, we were the second most popular programme on the Yesterday channel.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, and I can imagine that the second series was much the same.
Yeah.
I think they still repeat them.
Oh, no. Oh, trust me, you can still go you can still go onto their equivalent to iPlayer and pick it up. Yeah.
Because I just don't don't hate me for this, but I've not seen any of them.
No, and please don't hate me for this, because to be honest, there are several I haven't seen as well, because I get embarrassed. You know, I think, I didn't say that. You know, do I really sound? I can't sound like that. So yeah, you're not alone, but I think so much less of you now.
Oh, cheers. But no,
because I liked him to begin with. I didn't like him.
That's it.
So it's just suddenly gone.
He will make amends.
Yeah, that's it. Yoshi, I'm out.
Yeah. I'll be asking questions.
But, no, it's something that obviously. So I need to watch.
No, I'm joking. But the whole thing, that TV series was great for the hobby.
Yeah.
And you know, we had so much fun, and it was good fun. And to be honest, most of it was if you like genuine. Nothing was really set up. I think the TT one was slightly set up.
Yeah.
But other than that, because obviously we'd been talking about TT for some time, but yeah, I think I didn't mention it. I mentioned the other one. Yeah, but no, it's great series.
One of the things that comes across in the book is that you always seem to be the first one in the office, also the last one to leave the office. Are you a workaholic?
You speak to my wife. I've always been an early starter, and during it, you can get so much done between. I mean, the last time I was in roughly about 5:30. I mean, there's security guards just go on wave. Yes, I'm just about to break in, and you can get so much done between those, you know, early hours and 9 o'clock. You know, great time to write copy. You're not interrupted. The phone's not ringing. People aren't coming in the office. And we always worked an open door philosophy, and I very rarely shut the door. I always wanted to be accessible. And towards the end, mainly because my wife was beginning to worry about me a bit, I would leave round about 4:30. So I'd put about 11 hours in, really.
And you've not retired now, have you?
No, I haven't really. No, I'm still doing my consultancy and stuff. You know, I'm still up at 6. You know, I've allowed myself half an hour. Yeah, I mean, it's in your blood. You can't just stop. I can't. The worst time of year is this. It's those winter months.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember my boy. He works for Audi or sells cars, and he was saying, you know, the number of people who come in who said they, you know, have retired, and they're always talking about what they used to do, etc. He said, I can't see you doing that, and I don't want to, you know.
No.
You know, I am available.
So do you, because you've got dogs, you love dogs?
Yeah. Now walk the dogs twice a day.
So that's how you relax, is it? And get
I walk. How do I relax? That's a very good point. Well, I just chill. You know, there's always something going on up there, isn't there? So I don't. You know, I'm not a gardener. My wife's the gardener. I'm sort of the handyman, you know. And I like a bit of DIY. I like messing about with wood, you know, trying to keep the garden tidy. Yeah, I suppose that's it. But I enjoy writing, really.
So will there be a follow-up book, or have you got something else?
Well, no. It's a lot. I suppose a lot depends on, you know, how they sell. I mean, the TT book has sold well. This seems to be selling very well, which I'm pleased about.
Need to get the TT book.
And then, yes, you do.
Yes.
But yeah, there's so many other stories.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't told. I mean, this is 200,000 words. I wrote over 300,000. So it's been edited. Yeah. There's a couple of chapters they took out.
We're looking forward to them.
Well, no. The thing is, I've got. You write the copy, And then it was roughly this time of, it was just before Christmas that I finished it, the first draft.
Yeah.
I then spent 3 months going through it 2 or 3 times, changing it, moving things around, or, you know, so it made sense.
Yeah.
And then it goes off to the publisher and they read it, and then they take the stuff out. So then you get it back, and then you have to read it again, because you've got to see that if they've taken something out that I refer to later on in the book, you have a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
So you do that. I mean, I must have read this book, you know, 7 or 8 times, and it don't know if I get boring on the 8th one.
Still a good read.
But it was fun. But as I say, there's quite a bit of stuff that, you know, I haven't put in.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm spending, I mean, things like live steam. You know, I know I mentioned it in here, but there are things. It was the fun. It was the fun of demonstrating it, where, you know, because those machines so very clever. We had seven prototypes, or 7 pre-production samples we could use, and we had these before the actual full production came out, and I was using them for, must have been 8 or 9 months, and going to various shows. So, and they all had their own little character, you know, they're all different, but then again, you know, you things would happen, and you'd have to find your way round it, or you would. They were fine. The A4s were great if they had valances, because if they came off, you could pick them up, because the plastic, although it was warm, it was the plastic you make kettles from, electric kettles. It was fine. But if we're running one without the valances and you forgot, you would leave your fingerprints on the cylinders, you know. And, you know, I've only just about got my fingerprints back. I mean, but there were stories like that. There were stories where, you know, the damn thing, you just couldn't control it, and you just had to keep it going. Then people say, "Oh, can I see it go in reverse?" "Oh, I'm doing a test. I'm doing a test, a live test, just to see what happens." Yeah. So it would keep you on your toes all the time. And then there was the other occasion when, because there was so many amps going through this, that if you left the loco dry, i.e. no steam, on the track and the power going through it, what you ended up with is a very nice, efficient little welder, you see, and track would melt.
Gosh.
And that I left, I had a meeting in Nuremberg, and I was demonstrating. I left it with a chap called Paul. I'm sure he'll remember it. And I said, when it runs out, don't touch the controllers. When it runs out, just flick the on-off switch. That switch there. Just flick it, okay? And it'll stop. It'll be fine. So about, you know, half an hour later or an hour later, I come back, and there was Paul faffing, and I'm looking at the track. It's melted, a chunk of it. The loco was red hot, and I said, "What have you done?" He said, and then he started faffing, and I just turned to him, because I thought, whenever it went wrong, that's when you'd get the crowd. Yeah, and they're all, I knew it wouldn't work. I said there was a fault. And he started, I just turned to him very slowly and said, "Paul, just go. Go. Leave it to me." And for some reason, I'd actually packed spare track for a layout. I don't know why. Must have been. So I then, you know, with the tools available, lift the track, get it going. But that poor loco, that had to obviously went back and was rebuilt again. But it's stories like that, you know, where things go wrong.
Yeah, they're the ones that people remember.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
You've got an amazing memory.
No, it's just it's called Terror, brought on by Terror.
Oh dear.
You love the Smoky Joe, don't you?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because you were instrumental in,
Yes,
in all that.
yes.
Yeah.
Again, bit of a team effort, but yeah, that was again, that was Keith Ness wanting, cheap loco, something that sold under £10, and you're talking, I think it's about 82, 83, and wanted a cheap loco because they're all too expensive. They were all £50 or £40. They were expensive in those days. Not sure what they are now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went to see Tom Carver, who was the model maker. He was my go-to chap. And I said, Dog, need a loco, no frills, take the bits off, any metal bits, handrails, etc. So it can be produced. Let's produce it in black, minimum amount of printing, bish bash bosh. And love him. Tom never failed. And there was this black pug, almost authentic, to be honest. And in those days, there was a company called Rail Mail, who were the leading mail order house.
Yeah.
And the chap there was Jim Weir, owned it. Big Glaswegian, really nice guy. And generally, I've known him since Hammond Morgan days, and if I'd had a thin week, there were two people I would ring up to get, an order from. One was Cheltenham Models, and the other one was Jim Weir at Rail Mail. And I said, yeah, okay, just put us down for 4 duets, So that was, anyway, he happened to visit Hornby, happened to be meeting up with Stan McCullum just because they knew each other, and I called into the office, see Jim. Oh, what you got there? And I opened it up, and I said, looking at it, it's gone through the road. Can sell this for $9.99 or whatever it was. And Jim said, oh right. He said, this reminds me of the loco we used to have in the Glasgow sidings. He said, and somebody actually scrawled in it Smoky Joe.
Yeah.
He said, that's what this needs. And I said, oh yeah, actually you're right. Down to Tom, Smoky Joe. There he is. And it's been in the range ever since.
Yeah.
I can remember it's been in there quite a few years.
Yeah,
and,
it's now in the railroad range, which is fair. But it's been there. It's 40 years old.
Yeah,
at
that's
least.
crazy because you saying they wanted to sell it for what, $9.99, something like that, tenner. I think I got it for about £54 in the end, but that's brand new, and I'm just like, it's still a decent price for just a little steam loco.
Yeah, how much did you pay?
54.
No, it's about 40 odd, I think. I did a piece for Railway Model because I was using that as an example to show that that really model railways has kept pace with inflation. Because it is, if you can get these inflation charts, and it is roughly about the same as it would be.
But I got it from Hornby online, so it would have been cheaper actually.
Yeah, no, it would have been around about £30-40 now. But yeah, it's,
I don't know where I got the 54 to then.
Yeah,
because that was
we did as part of the of the centenary celebrations, and I thought Smoky Joe needs to be recognised for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think I used it for the 80s. And basically we restored all the metal bits and, gave it a great finish, great packaging and all the rest of it, embellished it.
Yeah. It's nice. It is a really nice little logo.
Well, it's cute, yeah.
I still just can't believe that 40 years ago was the 1980s.
No. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, the millennium.
Yeah.
I remember the millennium and all that, and you think that's 26 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's mad where it all goes. Still feel the same.
So when all the manufacturing went off to China, was that a difficult thing, or that was just a logical step?
It had to be a logical step. Not easy, but I'd been over to China myself, paid for it myself, because people were saying, we were having all this. Bachmann were strong. They were coming in with some really nice models, lovely finish, and great boiler bands and so on. At Hornby, we were still putting boiler bands on with penknife, which was just single colour. Ever so skillful, but not what the market was demanding.
Yeah.
So I went over there just to see, so I could come back with a little bit of knowledge. And my then boss, marketing director, David Bay, said, so how'd you get on? I said, David, we're going to have to move. Else we ain't going to exist. We can't compete. We have to move. And I think it'd really been in the back of their mind. I mean, I'm not claiming that, it was my idea, but I think people were worried about moving to China and what it would do to the brand and what people would think and probably stop buying it. At the end of the day, when we did move, and the move was completed and it was superbly done, handled by the Hornby team. By the time we did move, I think we got 3 letters from, annoyed from Bournemouth.
That's just down the road from us.
Yeah, and but only 3 people who were disgusted with it.
Yeah.
And the minute we did it, I mean, the sales improved, and that was, as I say, if we hadn't done that, I don't think Hornby, the doors would have closed, because it just wasn't up to the mark. Hornby still had the name. That was the thing, and it really must have called Graham Hubbard of Bachmann, because they were doing some really nice models, and they still do some really nice models. But every time anybody saw a loco or something on, it was Hornby. It would be Hornby.
Yeah.
Even if it was one of his, it was Hornby. So Hornby had the name, and really, it was our job to justify having that name.
Yeah.
And it all changed. And of course, it changed dramatically when we launched the clan line. And that was amazing, and the reaction we got from that. And although sales had been, and confidence in the brand had been increasing, Clan Line just sent it up. And then after that was the Coronation, Black 5, West Countries, and people could see it.
Is there anything that you wished you could have produced in your time at Hornby, or did you manage to?
I think I'd done most of what I wanted to do, and loco wise, but there were some coaches that were on my list to do. And it's in my mind, it's what the brand really does need. And I know you're going to ask me, and I'm not sure I should say.
No, that's right.
But it cries out.
Yeah.
They have, it would be terrific. I mean, the Coronation coaches were superb. And the works of art. There's some of the coaches. And quite justifiably so. I mean, they're absolutely top notch. Great designer.
I mean, I'm still amazed at the level of quality that goes in. Even the other, non-Hornby brands.
Oh no!
The quality is...
and because that's what the market, and everybody's striving for more and more and more. Because the more and more you get, the more expensive it's going to be.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's still development. That can be done on Hornby locos and other locos, certainly on steam locos, that would. Just push it a little bit further.
Hornby have got the railroad
range.
Kind of like an introductory
Yes.
range. I think that's a great idea.
Well, that had that again. That was because it was great all these new models coming through, but it was when I was sorting out the order form, I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I've got Smokey Joe and a couple of these, and then if I want a decent loco, the price shoots up to £100.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm a parent and I've bought my boy a train set for Christmas, I've spent roughly £100 on it, and then he wants another loco, and he goes into the shop and says, "Oh, yeah, can I have the Mallard, Dad?" Yep. Yeah. Brings it down. So how much is that? Oh, that's £100.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
So, to me, and this was something that I'd had kicking around with the way the music industry use old LPs and reintroduce old LPs. Yeah. This is before they were doing the return of the vinyl. Mm. But, they would come in at a, there was, in my day, probably just about your day, music for pleasure, where you'd have local. Yeah. And so we had these old tooling. All we had to do was get it on, dust it off, decent motors, need good motors in there. They need to run. They need to go over the points, but they don't need all the detail, because then that will give us a price, but not only for the youngsters coming in or people coming in, but for people who are on a budget.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden things were getting expensive, and or people who wanted to do weathering or whatever, Yeah. So it fitted in nicely, and it took work to convince people at Hornby that it was a good idea. But eventually it happened. There was a little bit of fifth column going on. Yeah. But no, it came through. It was well supported by the Hornby magazine. I remember, pitching it to them, and they were over the moon with it, and they did run with it and support it, which was great.
Was it the Hornby magazine, or was it Hornby's website that you wrote blogs for?
It was the Hornby website.
So, because they're on your current website, aren't they? Simon Says Relay.
Oh, I've done. Yeah, I put one or two on. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Will you expand that? Or?
Yeah, I feel really guilty about this, because I thought, oh, I can do this website, and it's just finding the time. Yeah. And it was funny enough, before I came here, I was thinking, I really ought to do something, because I've got it, Kohler comms there. Yeah. I've really got to improve in that. But I mean, I do have. The problem is you have these comments pieces, and I've written them, and then they've gone off to Railway Modeller. So Railway Modeller have had them, and I've not put them on my site, which is fair enough. Yeah. It probably reaches a bigger audience, actually. Yeah. I think you're probably there's you and my nephews who knows about the Kohler Comms website. So it's just finding the time, because with these sites you have to keep them updated. And I'm bad.
So, do you have a model railway at home?
No.
You don't?
No. And I made one for my grandson.
Oh, awesome!
But I've never had the time. I've always had other things to do. And people say, "Oh, you should be able to do it." No, you're retired. No, I'm not retired. But I mean, if ever I was to do one, I would probably do. I told you, I was born in Louth. I would, and I have the track work and the siding diagram, and I'd probably try and recreate that. Actually, just in TT.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, they always, because I am an ambassador for Trains and World, for Dovetail Games.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that they want to drive the trains, but they want to drive the trains on the route of their town where they live. Yeah. They're always after the route, where they live. And I'm kind of like that. And I started mentioning to you a couple of months ago that a couple of weeks ago, I'm thinking about doing the section of line where I live, sort of thing, which is, it's not little bad, it's a bit of a main line and two sidings and a yard and the station at Paul, where I'm just like doing that. And I think it'd probably be a little bit better than the depot scene that I've got. But there again, I'd have to have an excuse for having the 86, the 87, and the 92 and the 90 running.
Well, it's all there. You can put
That's
it,
it.
But
Yeah.
the beauty with model rail is it's such a broad church, and it's got so many aspects to it. In many respects, when you do it, you're creating a 3D picture. It's a snapshot of a time, and I think it's that's the art coming out in it, and there's the logistics, there's the geometry. It should be part of the national curriculum, because there is so much going forward.
There's so many
graphic
skills.
design, social history,
Yeah.
physics.
There's-
It is
there's-
all there, and it makes learning those things easy and simple because they don't know they're learning. That's and so, I'm not clever, but there are certain aspects of things you pick up and you think, I did do that. Geometry was one, and you don't realise until you still try to make an oval using a first radius and a second radius curve. Gets tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even now I'm finding it a little bit difficult with just coming up with an idea for like a track plan, and I'm just like, well, will this go in there and will that go there? And I'm just like, no.
Well, that's one of the projects I'm working on with a very clever man at the moment, which would, if you've got some first radius curves, some pico track, this bit of a mixture, you will be able to, I've got this track, make me a layout, use AI, make me a layout using this track.
Oh, that's awesome.
You try that, and that's just one aspect of it. But that to me is, imagine I'm new into it, and I've picked up this, that, and the other. It's great. Or we'll have genuine layouts from track plan books and things like that, with permission, where I've got a certain space. Can I get that into this space, or can I make it bigger? Can I take this out because it makes sense, and it will work it out for you.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's clever. It is. It's really, really clever. It's really clever stuff, actually.
So I have to ask, it's just like, what is your favourite loco or piece of rolling stock or coaches that you actually made, or you not made?
Yeah, I'm not certainly not a designer. I mean, it's like saying, "What's your favourite child?" It's always been. It was always, it's the last one, we produced, but I think possibly the one that I'm quite pleased we did, and we being Hornby, was the Hush Hush, because it was such a positive loco. You said something else, but it's got an attitude, and it sold in and would still sell incredibly well. And although you'd say it was only one of them, it did have certain modifications that you can introduce and legitimately have it in there again. So I think the Hush Hush, but I've always had a soft spot for the rebuilt Duchesses, but of course the A4 being what it is, streamlined, and it is, it is I can understand why you look at it and you just think it's just got such beautiful racing lines.
Yeah. Is that what's on the cover of the book?
No, that's actually a rebuilt Hush Hush.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was another one of those locos I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a 464. That picture was actually taken because it was from, I think, the first series, and the chap said, "Oh, can we just need to take a couple of stills? Oh, grab a loco." Yeah, so I just grabbed that, and that was it. And that picture, embarrassing. Well, yeah, it is embarrassing. Kept getting messages from people. Just been on the London Underground. I've just seen your pictures plastered everywhere. Or I was at a wedding, and somebody said to the groom, "See that guy over there? I'm sure. Is he the guy who's on that poster on the trains?"
I mean, what's it like sometimes, like when people do recognise you?
Love
from
it.
there?
Love it. Don't be silly. Of course, I love it. You know, get
Brilliant.
oh, it's Mr Hornby. You know. No, of course, I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, it is cool. The thing is, you know, I appreciate it, and that's nice. You know,
I saw in a video today you said something. You were coming out of the warehouse on a Friday afternoon, or
was coming out of the front door. Where did I say that?
it was on a video.
Is this when I saw the Queen?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one. And that's I was just laughing at that this morning when I saw that.
Friday afternoon. I can work out what time of year it was. But it was Ramsgate and Sandwich. They're part of the Syncport things. And it always used to be the Queen Mother. But for some reason the Queen Mother wasn't doing it. And Friday afternoon, and I came out of the office by the big doors, and my car was there. There was no other cars on the front, and I just stood there, and I saw these motorcyclists go boom, and one stopped by the service road by the side of us. I thought, what's going on? And then this beautiful maroon two-tone, I think maroon and black, but anyway, Rolls Royce, stretched, polished, I think, flags and everything. And I thought, and I looked, and I saw the Duke of Edinburgh, and he went like that to the Queen. And I could see it's the Queen, and he pointed, and he said, "Oh look, that's Hornby," and then she turned round. And I'm the only one there. And she waved. And I waved back. Easy. And I thought, I can't tell this story because nobody would believe me.
It's weird, isn't it?
But it was just one of those things. I think, you know, I don't think she recognised me. I'm pretty certain she didn't. But it was just so surreal. You know, Duke of Edinburgh, the Queen. Waved
and model railway royalty.
Yeah. And I never got a knighthood for it, but never mind.
Yeah.
That sticks in mind. I've met one or two of the royal family, which I've managed on one occasion to embarrass myself, but on another, I really, you know. It was Princess Royal. We're at I think hers is it Save the Children? It's one of the charities, the children's. And we were it was being held at I think it was the Canadian Embassy near Trafalgar Square. And we were there. I'm not sure how. We must have done something to generate some money or whatever. We were invited, and I had put together a couple of special Pullman sets which could be auctioned off and hopefully make a bit of money, exclusive, you know, some certificates, and there's only two of these. And she came in and handed it to her. She said, "Oh, you know, my children love trains." I said, "Well, if you want some more, you know, I could probably get you some cheap." Yeah, I know. And she was really good. She really rose to the occasion. She was very cheerful. She was lovely. Yeah. But but one or two.
Yeah. On that note, thank you ever so much for joining us, Simon.
No, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it immensely.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
If you want to read more about Simon's life at Hornby, Between the Lines, is it published by Key?
It's Key Publishing.
Key Publishing is available now. So I can well recommend it.
Definitely recommend it so
thank
far.
You ever so much.
No, thank you.
Really
Thanks
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Great
It's
fun.
good.
Great fun.
Yoshi's enjoyed it.
This episode of the Railway Dogcast was recorded at Olby's Creative Hub, Margate, in November 2025. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe.